What a sweet Monday it is. And as of course, if you're joining us this morning, reminder, sadly, no one today. But I do have the next best thing. If you've been a long time follower of March to the Madness, you know we had a third co-host at one point, Cody Del Mendo, who left us to the bright lights of being a Cubs superstar, blogger, and podcaster, and TV guy. And he is taking time out of his very busy schedule. Cubs getting ready to start their season, and he is back. What's up, Cody?
You can. I have a busy schedule. I have a busy life these days, but you can't keep me out of March to the Madness. This is a special time for all of us. So I'm happy to be here with you, Ryan.
That is a very special time. You know, we got the Sweet 16 of March to the Madness this week. We have Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday. I mean, it's best time, one of the best times of the year. Spring training's going on, finishing up. So, I mean, it's a great time. Great time.
Yeah.
So, Cody, I don't know how close you've been following along. We're going to do a short recap of last round, and then we'll kind of preview some big matchups for the Sweet 16. Then maybe we'll give the people a little bit of what they're looking for, and we'll get a March Madness pick from you maybe, and maybe some Cubs prediction too, if you're feeling froggy.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll prepare myself for that. But no, I always enjoy doing this and going through, seeing the new schools that come through, or the new chapters, I guess I should say. And obviously, I see some familiar chapters in here as well. So,
of course, Oklahoma and Indiana every year. I mean, just might as well just Sharpie them into the at least Final Four. You think? I mean,
yeah.
So you can see our Sweet 16 matchups here. We have a lot of chalk. Oklahoma still has not really had much issue path of resistance, but of course, Youngstown State. If you remember, Cody, they're another team that you can usually pencil to go far, and they've been to a Final Four, and I think Youngstown maybe might give them a little first taste of some action here. Oklahoma Kappa, they did have a big first event in a long time. They had a Founders Day this weekend. I believe over 500 people, if you include spouses and partners. So they might be a little hungover from that, if you will, from that big matchup. So they may be overlooking the Penguins.
Yeah, I mean, listen, over my time of doing this, you can't count Oklahoma out. They're, like you said, they're chalk. You feel like they should always be in the Final Four of this because they show up. But one of the beauties of March is the upsets. And listen, this is Youngstown State's time, man. I'm ready to see what they got. This is, if there was any school out there that could take Oklahoma down in this bracket, it's Youngstown State.
Look at that. I mean, Youngstown State did is not a stranger of beating bigger schools. I mean, last round they just took Arizona in what was one of the more exciting round of 32 matches. Arizona obviously a much bigger school than Youngstown State. So, but Youngstown they're gonna battle, and they're not gonna let anybody embarrass them. So I expect a match there.
Yeah.
Another one of our close matches of the first round. As we'll talk about this other matchup in the Devote region, Arizona State and Idaho. Idaho has been like Oklahoma, has just kind of cruised and sleptwalk their way through their first two games. So we don't really know how strong of a team they are this year yet. But I do think Arizona State, who had a battle of themselves against Florida State last round, I think that we're going to find out real quick if this Idaho team is different than past years, and they're going to make potentially their first Final Four.
This is a question. Was Idaho in this last year? I don't remember seeing them in here last year.
They were. They're a newer team. I believe they got to the Elite Eight last year.
Okay.
And of course, they had a very nice event this past weekend as well. Their chapter back rechartered this past weekend, and
good for them.
They have a great alumni base, and rumor is that they want this and they want a Final Four. This can be tough Sun Devils team standing in their way, forks up. But
when before I left the LMT to go off into the sunset, I know that Idaho was on their way back, so congratulations to them on rechartering. I'm sure it was a long road, a lot of hard work. So, listen, I'll take them in this matchup because they're riding a high right now. I like it. I like it.
Their rumor has it they're still partying down in Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Kerr region. We kind of thought, and of course we got Powerhouse Texas here, which Cody, I think that last year was their first year, and they kind of shown no surprise that they're for real, and they're one of Oklahoma's major threats. Of course, we're still a couple rounds away from that potential rematch from last year. Of course, they played Oklahoma in the Sweet 16 last year, where they were eliminated, but it was an all-time classic match, as you can imagine. Texas Tech, we kind of thought was going to put a battle against Texas last week, but they didn't. They were no match for Texas. And of course, Northern Iowa. We got this kind of similar to the Oklahoma's matchup with Youngstown State. Northern Iowa is another smaller school, but they have experience. They've been in this tournament a couple of years. They've had a couple runs in the tournament, and they have a strong alumni base. Texas kind of similar situation here to Oklahoma. I don't think they had the big Founders Day Oklahoma did, and of course they haven't won like Oklahoma has. But Northern Iowa is not going to be an easy one for them. So I think this is finally going to be the round where I don't think anybody's going to have any more cakewalks. I think all the matches are going to be close, and kind of just really anything can happen. And I know you want to talk about Alabama, Kentucky. I know that one jumped out to you when you first saw it.
Oh, yeah. When you brought up the Kerr region, and I'm seeing Alabama and Kentucky. So we got an SEC matchup right here. Powerhouse schools. One's a football school. The other one's a basketball school. Which one has the better chapter? That's the next question everyone's asking. I know Kentucky is a mainstay in this tournament year in and year out. Alabama, obviously, historic in this in our realm, right? So I'm intrigued. I'm ready to see this. As far as Northern Iowa and Texas, I guess I kind of want to see the Red River rivalry with Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah, that'd be something in a Final Four matchup, wouldn't it?
Right. So I guess I'll root for Texas. But Alabama and Kentucky, man, I don't. That's a
Yes. So Kentucky, they were always seeded highly early on, and then they kind of kept disappointing. And this year they were seeded accordingly as a lower seed. And I kind of think they've been reignited with the matchup this week. I think they're kind of fired up to take on Alabama. And I know Alabama is for real this year. This is something that they played on last year. I think they went to the Sweet 16 last year. And I think they came in with more firepower this year, and they've kind of been holding back. So I think this is going to be an unbelievable matchup. And with the one wild card, it's conceivable that neither of these teams get eliminated, but there's still going to be a winner of this match, and I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be unbelievable to watch. It's going to be all day back and forth. I have no doubt that both of those historic chapters are going to show up. Yeah.
No, this region, it's like powerhouse after powerhouse. So I feel like if there was one winner that was going to overtake the dominance that Oklahoma and Indiana have had in this tournament, it's from this region.
Well, Juan and I both did pick Texas to win it all. So Juan says I cheated off him, but
I'll keep that noted for whenever I make my pick after we go through the rest of the bracket.
That sounds good. Let's move on to the other side of the bracket with Cockrell at the top. We were talking about the powerhouse that is Indiana. Of course, the only team that has won it that's not called Oklahoma. Indiana lost in a epic championship match against Oklahoma last year. They also have a very tough matchup here. Southern Miss, I think they were eliminated in the Sweet 16 in an all-timer against Georgia last year. Of course, Georgia went out earlier this year. Didn't have quite the firepower they had last year. Alabama took them out last round. Southern Miss had a very, very good showing last year. Another historic chapter, great alumni base. And I know there have already been some messages exchanged between the two groups. So that I think all the 1 seeds better be on the lookout this week. And we'll talk about the other 1 seed here when we get to Foster. But Southern Miss, another very, very strong 4 seed this year. And they're going to give Indiana all they asked for and more. So,
yeah, I mean, that was when I looked at the bracket and saw this when I jumped on here. I was like, Southern Miss in this matchup going up against Indiana. That's interesting. So obviously, it's pretty easy to just assume Indiana's going to get through here. But they can't sleep on Southern Miss. So I'll still take Indiana. But this other matchup between Cincinnati and what is that?
Miami.
Yeah. That's a little bit more intriguing. I know Cincinnati's got a big alumni base. So I don't know a ton about Miami, but I'm leaning Cincinnati on that one. I'd love to see an Indiana-Cincinnati Elite Eight.
They played in the second round last year. Unfortunately, Cincinnati was no match for Indiana, as most teams are not.
Yeah.
But Cincinnati, like I said, last year was really the first year kind of participating with the team captain. They went up against Indiana in the second round last year, and of course, so this is their first Sweet 16 appearance. And you're right, they do have a huge alumni base. It remains to be seen if they can tap into that for the Sweet 16. I know Miami has been strong the last couple years. They went to the Elite Eight last year. They were a 2 seed for a reason. But Cincinnati has played very smart and strategic this tournament, as Miami has. So I think we see another good match there. And just a fun fact, talk about round of 32. Southern Miss was also involved in one of the other best round of 32 games. They defeated Indiana State. Indiana State was one of the 2 wild cards, so you'll see them in Foster. So Southern Miss has already taken down one of the CEOs. They're going up against the Foundation CEO now, so a little bit of a different ball game. But I mean, every matchup. I mean, you can say good things about all the matchups this week. I think they all should be very entertaining and get your money's worth, get your popcorn ready. I think tomorrow's gonna be a fun one. So it's no Selection Sunday, but Sweet 16 March to the Madness Tuesday is a pretty good one.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, nothing like it. Let's move on to the final region here, Foster, which and no knock on Nebraska, you could say they're easily the weakest 1 seed out of the 4. I don't think that's much of a stretch when you're in the conversation as Indiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. But that doesn't take away anything they've done. They're a very strong team themselves. They maybe get the easiest matchup of the 1 seeds this week, though. Indiana State, while being a strong team, they're coming off a very tough matchup, grueling matchup. Nebraska's kind of been able to coast like the other 1 seeds have. So I'm worried to see how I'm interested to see how Indiana State rebounds here. They may still be licking their wounds from the loss to Drake yesterday. I do think they still get in the NCAA tournament. They should. I think both of those teams clearly, going off to real March Madness, I think both of those teams clearly showed yesterday they're tournament teams. But we know how the NCAA is, so we'll see. But we'll see if Indiana State shows up. The trees. I mean, they're not going to get embarrassed, but it just we'll see if they put up a real good fight or not.
Is this the time where we really feel like the 1 seed is in trouble?
I mean, maybe, but I think Indiana State's the weakest of the 4s that the 1 seeds got.
Okay,
I would rank Northern Iowa, Southern Miss, and Youngstown all ahead of them. Not like I said, not to say Indiana State's not a strong team. I think they're coming off the toughest match last week. So just see if they get back off the mat or not.
You got two narratives going against each other right here. We got Nebraska, as a 1 seed trying to prove that they're worthy of being that 1 seed. Indiana State, underdog mentality. I hope that one's the most. I hope that one provides the most entertainment for all of us. So, give me the tree.
You're a Trees fan at heart. I know you are.
Just a little bit. Yeah. I'm give me the Trees.
All right. Big old upset there for Cody. I like it. Let's talk about the last matchup here in the Sweet 16. What I think is going to be a real classic. We got two smaller schools. They kind of seem like they'd play. I'd have to look. Are they D3 together? I don't know. But it seems they look good together. North Dakota and Mount Union. I mean, I feel like that just maybe it's because in my dreams I saw this was going to be an all-time classic. I've been dreaming about North Dakota and Mount Union. I mean,
yeah,
who's not?
Listen. This is the matchup that, in all honesty, we are all waiting for. This is the one that everyone is looking forward to watching in this aspect because both schools, no one thought they'd be here, but here they are. And now they got to go up against each other, and whoever wins gets to take on Indiana State or Nebraska. They're the new Fairleigh Dickinson. They're the new St. Peter's.
So North Dakota has been a long time in this tournament. They made their first Final Four last year, I believe. So they were 2 seed.
I was way off on that then.
Yeah, they're the top 2 seed. And Mount Union had a really good run last year. They were, really good 3 seed. But these two teams are just. It feels like one of those like Sunday at 7 a.m. Tournament games. That's just you didn't even know they had a time for that because it's one of those conferences that you never even heard of. And you're going out for St. Patrick's Day, and it just happens to be on ESPN. They're one time they're ever on ESPN, and you're just glued to the TV. You can't look away.
So it was like me yesterday watching Austin Peay and Stetson. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Congrats to the Hatters on their NCAA tournament bid.
Yeah.
Out of ASUN.
Yep. First time ever to go to the NCAA tournament.
Wow. Disappointing. Austin Peay could have joined Longwood and Morehead State as some great named teams.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, and as far as this tournament, it sounds like they're more experienced than I'm giving them credit for. So I apologize to the alumni who are probably mad at me now. But listen. This will be.
I'm going to give them your email so they can send you hate mail, just like the old days.
Oh yeah. Well, I am happy to see our old pals. Winthrop is not here. I did love to purposely just believe not believe in them, and they're not here. And I'm a little upset.
They haven't participated since that fateful year.
Maybe my slander was too much for them.
They took their ball and they went home, and they said they're not playing with anyone ever again. So.
Well, hate to see it. I mean, I didn't try to get them to not show up. I was just, I was playing a little hardball with them. That's all it was.
All your fault. Well, do you want to give the people maybe a pick in this tournament, and then maybe you can give us like a top 2 or 3 of the real March Madness that you think. Because obviously we don't have a bracket there, so it'd be a little tough.
Yeah.
And then you can give us a little quick thing about the Cubs if you want.
Okay. Wow, you're giving me a lot of things to talk about here. And if I get going, then I'll just won't shut up. As far as this tournament, I'm just gonna not pick Indiana or Oklahoma because that's not any fun. All right. And you and Juan already took Texas, so. I guess for me, I'm going to go with Cincinnati just because I did write a pretty interesting article about them that we put in the record right before I left the LMT to go on to do what I do today. I got to know a couple people from their alumni, and they're all really nice people. So let this be some motivation for Cincinnati to just surprise everyone. All right.
They certainly have the firepower to do it.
Yeah. someone from their alumni base get the troops going, man. Like, I don't know what you got to do, but like get them going. You guys, they have.
Fun fact: the Cincinnati's chapter of High Upsilon is the #1 giving chapter to the foundation as a whole.
Wow. Well, then I'm like on the right track here. Like
Right.
this is good stuff for me. All right. So let's go Bearcats. All right.
Yeah.
As far as the actual NCAA tournament, God, I think Purdue could actually finally do it this year, but they obviously have to go through, they have to beat their own like demon, right? After losing to Fairleigh Dickinson last
Who's
year.
their demon? Matt Painter.
It's either Matt Painter or, just the pressure of probably being a 1 seed and having all these expectations and whatnot like that. I think they're good enough to win it all. I really do. It's hard to take another school that would be back-to-back, but UConn's very good. But to go back-to-back would be kind of insane, but they could. But so I won't take them, but I pick I
have a feeling they're not going to be seeing San Diego State.
Yeah, they had an easy road last year.
Miami in the Final Four again if they were to make it this year.
Right. So I won't take them, but it won't surprise me if they do make another run. But my top 3, I'll take Purdue, I'll take Houston, and I guess as a kind of a wild card. I'm biased. Give me Illinois.
I was about to say you're not giving your team any love.
Yeah, give me Illinois. If they can find a way to defend for like 30 of the 40 minutes, maybe they can finally get to that second weekend and go beyond. They have the talent.
No love for my boys with who beat your team earlier this year.
How can I give them any love after I went and watched them beat my team in person with you? Like, how could I do that? How could I do that?
We literally have a less handsome, more athletic Adam Morrison.
You do.
Hopefully, it doesn't end the same way with him crying in the Sweet 16. I will be on the floor crying too.
Well, perhaps we'll both be on the floor crying. My team could be done in the first weekend. They haven't gone to a second weekend since I was a freshman in high school. And your team, it's just kind of like known that Rick Barnes can't go far. So like, we'll both potentially could be crying.
Yeah, all I know is that Rick Barnes only 1 Final Four ever, and Tennessee 0 Final Fours.
Yeah. So
Atlantic 1 Final Four.
Yeah. So I mean, Purdue just kind of feels like the easy team to pick there. They have the depth, they have the talent, they have a guy that's unreal in height and skill, in my opinion. But I guess I'll go with them as like
I hate them.
I mean, they're very easy to not like, especially as a Big Ten fan that I am. I'm just recognizing the fact that they're very good and they beat Illinois twice, right?
They just throw the ball into him and he just does a little.
Yeah.
And I don't like Purdue. I mean,
they have good shooters on the outside. Yeah.
Dave's buddy, our producer Dave's buddy, Ryan Klein. That guy.
Mm-hmm. Now, and since you're giving me this opportunity,
in the bowl game,
the Cubs. I know me and you are both Cubs fans. Obviously, I'm a Cubs fan. I know you're a Cubs fan. And Dave, who's our producer for this, he's also a Cubs fan. I think that they make the playoffs this year. I'm all in. Playoffs. 88, 89 wins. Playoffs. That's my prediction for this year.
Is that you think that wins the division?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think the division will be a lot better, though, and I think that it will earn some respect. And I don't think anyone respects the division right now. So
Pirates always have some young talent coming up. Reds are fun to watch, but they're the Reds.
I actually think going into the season, the Reds are rightfully getting, picked to win the division. I would say the Cardinals should win this division if their pitching stays healthy, but Sonny Gray is already going to enter the season on the injured list, and their entire starting rotation just left the retirement home and showed up to spring training in Florida. It's their pitching is something that I just don't trust. So I can't take them, but I think the Reds and the Cubs will be the top 2 teams in the Central, and I think the Cubs will be good enough to finally make the playoffs, and I don't have to be hurt in September 2 straight years.
Yeah, pretty rough collapse last year. I know you and our producer Dave were there for it.
In Arizona.
Games, yeah. Cody, to bring it back to March to the Madness, I do have we did have someone jump in and ask a question for you.
Okay.
Does this mean that you will be Cincinnati's first donor tomorrow?
Oh,
every bit helps.
if it gets the people going, if it gets their alumni going, I can be that person. If I have to be the one to lead the way, or prove me right, get to the Elite Eight, and then maybe I help a little bit in the Elite Eight.
Oh, cop out.
It's not cop out. I believe in them. All right. But they got to prove it to me as well,
Oh, Cody's in the prove it mode.
Yeah. I believe in them, but also like you said, like they're not utilizing their alumni base. So like this is I'm putting my faith in them. They're my wild card pick to win this, right? Because it's easy to take, Indiana or Oklahoma, and you and Juan took Texas. So like I'm taking a school that no one's thinking about in this tournament.
All right. So we'll hold you to it. I definitely think they can win tomorrow. So we'll see. And just a reminder for everyone playing along, there's only one wild card this round. And to be safe, you have to hit $2,000 instead of $1,000 like the last two rounds. But like the last two rounds, winners will be awarded 5% of their CEF or 5% of what they raise go back to their chapter education fund. $2,000, it would be 10%. So a little bit different on the numbers this week, but mostly the same as it's been all tournament. So Cody, any final words? We really appreciate you again joining us. I always enjoy banter with you and talking all kinds of sports and even our imaginary March to the Madness sports here. Always a pleasure, and I know you had a busy day, so we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, thank you guys for always inviting me on here. It means a lot. And even though I'm like in a complete different career path right now, I still look back on my time working at the LMT and doing the job that I had there, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And, I'm always paying attention to the content we're putting out there on social media and stuff, since that was my role when I worked there. And, SAEs for life. Right. So, I look forward to watching the rest of this play out and, watching you guys continue to have good success with, growing the realm and all of that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Pleasure, Cody. Hope you and everyone watching and every SAE out there, like you said, it is for life. Hope you all had a wonderful Founders Day this past weekend. We thank you again for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Juan will be back. I know you guys all missed him. Hopefully you still enjoyed the show this week, and we'll see you then. Enjoy tomorrow, and good luck to your teams if you're still in it.